Hey, welcome to today's video. I hope you are good. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and obviously press that bell button. Well, good if you do. Now, I want to talk about the news and also the stock market. What has happened to the stock market and why does it look like Bitcoin is a safe haven? Let's find out. So, welcome, hello, hi, it's Friday. You've survived another week. My phone's going crazy. I'll move it over there so you don't get interrupted by buzzing. First things first, smash a like on it. Do all that good stuff. Put a genuine comment. If we get 500 likes within 2 weeks or so, I will give 0.2 Ethereum out to a lucky prize winner thing. Random generator. Cool. So, news is quite okay this week-ish, although I did the news last week and I totally forgot some obvious things, so I was like, oops, but hey, who cares? I want to talk about LedgerX first before I get into the stock market, because that will probably blow people's minds a little bit as to what I kind of think in my head. I have some random thoughts in my head all the time. So if you are new to the channel, you'll know that I talk a lot about other cryptocurrencies. I talk about the industry quite a lot, and I also am a big advocate of education. You need to understand what is happening with the future of the crypto markets. I speak quite openly about development, technology and vehicles to hopefully bring us, you know, an easier way to get involved in crypto for the average Joe, the normal person who's out there talking about credit card rewards systems and stuff, you know, not cryptocurrency. So LedgerX is kind of one of the new areas where we're going to go into, where it is a new futures exchange, but it's physical Bitcoin, but it's not been approved yet. Yesterday came out a bit of a bombshell. The US Commodities Futures Exchange, you know, the CFTC, says that LedgerX has not been approved by the Commission to offer physically settled Bitcoin futures, which is kind of an interesting one because it's contradicting the company's claims, which is an issue. So this was the fallout yesterday, but it didn't affect the market at all yesterday. I'm going to explain why it didn't in a minute. But most importantly, you need to remember that we're in an age of cryptocurrency where it's still very, very raw and new, and it will gradually get better over time when these developments, you know, pick up speed, get better, and obviously launch and are used. So this is also for the retail investor, which is really, really good. You've also got Backed, which is obviously in the same kind of shadow as this, in reality that they are still waiting for approval and to understand that to the people that it's going to, it is tickety-boo in terms of it's useful, it's going to be worked, it's fine, it's fully legit by these guys. So there we go. Got to take time. Now, I want to mention the stocks again. You're going to start noticing a little bit of stock market stuff on the channel at some point in the future. So get used to it, talking about stocks and why investment wealth moves around the markets into possibly cryptocurrency. I'm going to talk about that today. But first, I want to talk about this. For the first time in a long, long time, Bitcoin has overtook stock market in the trends of Google, which is really, really good to look at in reality. I look at it for YouTube, I look at it at certain things to see what people are talking about, people are searching for. And at the minute, people are starting to look at, oh my God, Bitcoin's grew how much in a year over stock market? Interesting. Remember that the stock market is in about an 8 or 9 year bull cycle. It's still progressively going up. If you look at the stock market, you see it's quite gradually going up. Unless you're in the UK and Brexit and the sterling, which I'm going to come on to in a bit, it's kind of a bit carnage at the moment in the UK. But ultimately, investments for us, it's looking quite good for the year. And obviously, Bitcoin is increasing in growth of, you know, search terms, which is really, really good and positive for future growth. People are not forgetting about Bitcoin. They may be like looking at it thinking, oh, 10k, pretty cool, awesome. But it's still only a magic number. It's still not the finished product. It's just speculation. So bear that in mind. And finally, on the news to end all news is, what on earth? The SEC set to begin to run nodes for Bitcoin and Ethereum. What on earth is this all about? So this is quite scary to think that this is a massive, massive, massive shift in development from the SEC, that they are really getting on board even, with the use cases of cryptocurrency, which is massive in a way, but I still don't like the SEC in reality terms of how much possible control they've got over Americans. My Telegram group, if you jump in the link below, I've got quite a few Americans and they get quite a bit upset when I'm talking about certain things that I can do freely because I'm in the UK and they can't. So it's like, well, they've still got quite a big grip on the control of Americans in this industry. So, you know, be mindful of what you're looking at in terms of investments. That's noisy. You can probably hear that. Sirens. World War III is kicked off in my home city. Lovely. But yeah, in reality terms, they're starting to loosen their grip a little bit in terms of use cases and actually getting involved a little bit. So, you know, wait out and see what happens with that one. Interesting. So, let's look at the stock market now. New territory for some people here. This is the Dow Jones yesterday, the average index. Now, bit of a drop yesterday, wasn't it? Donald Trump decided to swing his big hands all over Twitter again and ultimately caused a massive dump in the market. This is a cataclysmic drop, by the way. In one day, it's a biggie. Now, there was obviously some big ones over in May, but in the course of a day, and this period here, you can see there's quite big drops. But we're going to look at some little areas of interest. Now, what I'm going to do quite quickly, make it simple. We're going to put up another chart here. I'm going to put Bitcoin at bottom. Yeah, cool. If I like being on the bottom, there you go. BTC, USD, cool. Bitstamp will do. Now, have you noticed the obvious in the room? That, right, we'll go to the daily. Daily time frame. Daily. So, they are pretty much married up, right? They're the same dates. What can you see? Interesting, isn't it? So this is Bitcoin. Bear with me. It's not quite married up, right?
A few minutes later.
There we go. Cool. I'm happy with that now. So you got the Dow Jones on the top, right? Yeah, obvious, simples. Yesterday, we came down. Bitcoin, on the other hand, went up. What on earth? You know, it's pretty crazy when you look at that and think, well, why is it doing that? The reason why it's a bit shrunk is because the Dow Jones only trades Monday to Friday, just if you're wondering, it's a bit off. So that's why I have to move it. So in reality terms, you're thinking, right, cool. Is Bitcoin a safe haven? Now, I think it is. I do think that is the case. I've seen it in the past where it's happened. And look here, right? 3rd of May. Bear with. 3rd of May. This is starting to come and level off and come down. This here, we started to pump. So again, you've got a coming down period, which was on the 30th of April. Okay, this period here of Bitcoin. So it's interesting when you look at that correlation between, you know, movements. And I'll look further back, and I want to do a video on this. Is Bitcoin a safe haven? So this is like an introduction to it. I think it is. I think genuinely people are looking at cryptocurrency now as a feasible option as diversification, which is a big step forward if there's going to be a recession coming up next year. I think there is going to be a recession. I think we've already seen the topping out of property markets in certain areas. We're seeing all-time highs of certain areas, certain index funds that are still growing. And I've already said it's been quite a long bull cycle in a lot of these index funds. If I go to the weekly chart or the monthly on the Dow Jones, look at it. It is monumental growth over a long period of time. And at the minute, it's looking like we're topping out. Not financial advice, by the way. So that's like my kind of stock analysis. When you look at the monthly, though, it's pretty crazy. So that is going to come down at some point. In reality terms, it's going to correct. But where will that mean for us? Well, we don't know yet. But early indications of these drops, people are putting their money where Bitcoin is. Interesting. So there you go. Guys, my honest opinions about the stock market. If you want my honest answer about Bitcoin at the moment, we're at a very sticky patch. Now look at where we are in the chart. We're at a pivot point right now. We've had a strong momentum over the last few days, mainly because that, you know, the Dow Jones and all the other things around that have been dropping like a stone. Money has to go somewhere, and I think cryptocurrency is one of those places where it could go. A lot of good news this week in reality when you think about it. There's been some good progression with some coins, and most notably, you've got to look at, well, the future does look a lot brighter in, you know, you have got LedgerX, it's not approved, but it's coming. It's going to happen at some point, it's just a matter of when. Now, let's look at some basic TA. I think that we're getting towards. I don't think we're going to go much higher. If I'm my honest opinion, I think this is the top of this cycle. We're going to come back down a bit. We're going to correct properly. I think this is one of the last hurrahs that you tend to get. It's not fully broken out of the cycle. It's not fully broken out, if that makes sense. You know, you put a Fibonacci of this drop. Every time you do a Fibonacci of a drop area, the market wants to reclaim elements of it back. Okay, like anywhere. So you've seen it here. Boom, back up to this region here. Went above it. Didn't break fully above it. We hit there. It's looking likely we're going to try again. I think 10.7 will be the interesting point. If we break above that though, then we've got to look at this area as a target area. If we go above that, then who knows. But ultimately I think this is the top out area. This could be forming a double top, and from there on we should do that. But if we don't, we might go above to there and break out, and then it creates something a bit different. Then it may be another double top from this point. You know, who knows. So that's my honest opinion, my financial reckoning thoughts of absolute nonsense, but ultimately not financial advice, but that has a degree of substance. But I do think, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I think this region is the target area. I think this region, 85, 88 region, is the area, which is this area here, by the way, if you're wondering. So that is my kind of area where we could drop off to, if we're going to correct properly, which is a 0.5 on the fib, I think, on the daily time frame. So there you go. Video completed. Thank you for watching. I will be around on Monday, not on tomorrow. I've got a busier life these days, so I will be doing less videos Monday to Friday. Hit a like, subscribe, and let's see what happens with LedgerX. Let's see what happens with the SEC, and let's see if Bitcoin does overtake stocks in reality terms of genuine thoughts of diversification. Will people go from stock market into Bitcoin? It's looking likely, but we shall see.